I am now very, very partial to Mr. Mendonca, whom I met at an HRPBC event. It was probably 6, maybe 8 months ago. Um, maybe a brief handshake, nothing more than a business card. We must have done something to reacquaint ourselves, and whatever that was, it's turned into a wonderful rapport building experience. I'm extremely gracious that he's also been on these calls over the whole month just to kind of help out where he can and contribute. And we love it when our speakers, presenters, contributors actually show up to continue their networking message, if you will. And Stephen Light is another person that has presented, and so we have Duarte. So I will ask that everybody keep your mind open, that Duarte is going to ask people maybe a question or two. Don't hesitate to use the chat for those questions, and please feel that your contribution in this brings usually more value for everybody who is on board here. So a round of applause for Duarte Mendonca. Take it away, Duarte.
Thank you. As Mike just said, I really want this to be a conversation. Yes, I'm presenting information, and we're going to do reverse engineering, essentially what a recruiter is looking for. I'm very much a student of the recruitment industry and talent acquisition. I'm constantly learning myself. And again, this is my history. So this is my observations, my unique inquiries, and what I've experienced and what I feel are some of the best practices. A lot of it isn't always going to be agreed with everybody, but again, this is what I'm offering you, and I do know through experience that a lot of this does work. So when we're taking a look at what a recruiter does, I like to reference quite a bit Lou Adler. For me, he's somewhat of the godfather of recruitment, and he has a fantastic book out. If you are looking for a job, I definitely welcome you to look it up on Amazon, and it's How to Get Hired. And essentially, he also talks about reverse engineering, and he uses the model of 20-20-60. Essentially, this model is going to be focused the 60% on networking. And that's what he believes a successful recruiter should be spending their time, 60% of it networking and engaging their networks as referral sources. And so I think when you're looking for a job, that's a fantastic point to go ahead and jump right into, is networking. How are you engaging? How are you showcasing yourself as a professional in the industry? So for myself, I definitely genuinely believe that the job search begins before you meet another job. I myself found my next endeavor that I'm going to without really necessarily looking. They found me, they made an inquiry, and it was a mutual beneficial relationship that I'm going to be going ahead into and relocating my family to Texas. But again, that was through my work, through networking and engaging several different platforms on social media. I'm big on social media, and I'm going to be participating in a docu-film on December 10th, and it's actually called The Art of Recruitment, and a lot of it's going to be focusing on the art of storytelling and recruitment, as well as social recruitment. You're going to be hearing a lot more about social recruitment if you already haven't, and social marketing, social sales. I'm a big fanboy of LinkedIn, so a lot of the information I'm going to highlight is pertaining to social media platforms and LinkedIn. And so when we go ahead and take a look through JobVite, who recently did a survey of recruiters, they found that 95% of them are hiring directly on LinkedIn and utilizing LinkedIn to find people. I've referenced it in previous conversations. One of the VPs of Lee Hecht Hire has stated that if you're not on LinkedIn, you're invisible to recruiters, and I genuinely believe that to be the case. So again, before you start looking for a job, it's a fantastic way to go ahead and showcase your proficiency in the industry, your expertise, and that could be done through multiple ways. It doesn't always have to be through content creation. I know a lot of people are always hesitant to want to go ahead and share information because they feel they have to create it. Well, a great way to circumvent that is to talk about content curation. So there's the difference between the two. Content creation is like you writing your own blog, you creating your own materials. Content curation is taking things that you might find on Forbes, on other sites, whether it's through SHRM, through a local chapter, through another share from one of your friends on LinkedIn, and repurpose it and sharing it and starting off a comment or highlighting something that you liked in that body of that work. Also, another fantastic way is searching and doing Boolean searches on LinkedIn to find some other hot topics within human resources, or join LinkedIn groups where you can go ahead and participate and make comments on those networks. People do look. When it comes to the other 2020, it's job board searching, and then resume-based searching. Essentially, LinkedIn is not a resume. It's, for me, a living, acting profile of everything that you do. So people are searching you on there, and they can go ahead and see your recent activity. I implore you to go to everyone that's on here tonight and go to their page, click on the connect or information, and you could click on their recent activity. It's going to pull everything they've done in the past 2 weeks. If they haven't had anything in the past 2 weeks, that's an indication that they're not really sharing or that active on LinkedIn itself. So I think being engaged and active is another important thing that you have to do. LinkedIn is a fantastic tool. Mike, do you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to jump behind what you just said about looking at a person's LinkedIn homepage, which shows their last, as you mentioned, 2 weeks worth of any shares or any topics that they jumped in. And I want to say that's a gold mine tip, because many of us we're looking for a soft way to reach out into our network and start up a conversation that might keep them in our mind, keep them in their minds, or keep us in their minds to refer to a active opening. But we don't know how to do that. And what a great idea to look at some of the things that people are saying on their LinkedIn profile or in their Twitter feed. Ask them about it, because that's stuff that's already relevant for them. And you might even have good timing if it was just posted. It's on their mind. They're in essence saying, I want to strike up a conversation about this. So if you have their phone number, that's a golden opportunity to get a two-way conversation going on. Back to you, Dorothy.
That's a great point, Mike. Social media and these social sites with LinkedIn, it's intended for it to be social. In order for that, that means you have to engage other people. I mean, I think that's the next step in doing that. Whether you're posting something and someone writes a comment or likes it, engage them. There's a reason why they liked it. Far too often you won't see that. A lot of times, when people just like things, I might DM them, direct message them instead of posting there. Now, if they comment, I make sure I respond back to everybody, because again, that's the importance of LinkedIn. And I guess I can't emphasize enough that LinkedIn is not your resume. It's pretty much your living profile. It's your public document that you want to represent you, and I think that's the best way to put it. It's a living document that best represents you, and it's really going to encapsulate a lot of the things that you've done the past 2 weeks. Other ways to circumvent that, maybe project or things that you've worked on, you can clearly see on LinkedIn. There's underneath each position an opportunity to upload documents, direct links, video, etc. So again, don't hesitate to do that. But recruiters are looking for you on multiple platforms. It's not just LinkedIn. They're looking for you on Twitter, on Facebook, and other avenues. So you are being Google searched. So I guess one of the other important things is, whether it's your LinkedIn profile or other ways you're using it to professionally network or to find that next opportunity, it's through keywords, SEO, or search engine optimization on your profile. One of the other avenues that I just said is job posting or resume boards. So let's hypothetically say you find a job that you really want online. A fantastic tool is called JobScan, where you can actually go to JobScan. You could take the job posting itself, put it in one pane, and take your resume and put it in the other pane. The left pane will be your resume, and the right pane will be the job description. And it will match the two, and it will tell you how many of your keywords or their keywords match your resume. So that's a fantastic tool to recognize that, okay, maybe I'm not using the same verbiage or language that this employer is using. when you are applying directly, some of the major organizations through their application tracking system are ranking you based on those keywords. So with you not utilizing those keywords, it may be really realistically hindering you. And again, if people are looking for you, whether it's through LinkedIn, whether it's through Facebook or other avenues, if your verbiage, if your keywords don't match the industry lingo, you're really going to be missing out on a lot of those opportunities. So another great thing that I think you might want to do is if you're looking for that next job, for myself, what I did is I wanted to get a director level position. I was in a position of a manager, so I changed my language. Instead of saying manages, directs, or in things of that verbiage. So this way, when people were searching for director level candidates, I were more likely to be coming up in the search than someone with just being a manager level. So again, that's why I think the keywords is important. Now, I don't want you to go overdo it and have your summary be a keyword search key tab and that's all you're utilizing. It needs to make sense, but don't be afraid to reutilize some of those. So again, if you find a job, you can scrape it, take a look through JobScan, or even use Wordle or other Tagglue, where you can take their job description and they'll tell you the most frequently used words in those job postings, and then you can start incorporating those in your keywords for SEO and again to optimize your profile. I think another important thing on LinkedIn is going to be your job title. A lot of people have multifaceted or multidimensional job titles. For example, I do currently. I'm the recruitment and employee relations manager. Now, if I just list that as my job title, it may work, it may not work. You may want to segment it out and actually use the space bars in between. So I might want to put recruitment manager and then separate to that employee relations manager. This way, in case there's employee relations manager positions, people will have that as a keyword versus the recruitment manager, where that might get muddled in between and not rank as high on the keyword searches. So taking a look at your job title is a fantastic way as well to try to implement to capture people. Mike has highlighted before, I think my headline, I think people shouldn't be afraid to try to figure out what works for them or what's unique to their brand. For myself, my title is Cut Me, I Bleed Talent Acquisition, because I do love talent acquisition and I love the industry, and again, I'm a continuous learner. So for myself, I feel that it is in my veins. No matter what I do, I'm constantly thinking in terms of recruitment. A fantastic example of that is I was reading about IKEA, and IKEA, through their instructions, they trialed this several years back, and they actually put job posting information in their instruction kits. They ended up getting, I think, over 4,000 applicants and hired 260 plus people from just doing that, I guess, plan and trying to marketing and find applicants and candidates. Who better than to the people that are purchasing and buying your own materials? So it's always constantly thinking outside the box, and don't be afraid to try something different. Updating your profile is another important thing. I've been playing it with the past couple of weeks to try to prepare for this, but I've been updating my profile and creating new jobs that aren't necessarily new jobs. It's just repurposing some of the information. And last week, I posted it on Monday that I had a new HR job. It just said HR, and it was at Bethesda Health. I had 366 likes, and I think 100 plus people commenting congratulations on the new job. I think it'll also show you that people aren't really reading everything. People will just go ahead and like, but I also got a lot more profile views because of that. So that's a fantastic way to have people explore your profiles. You may have your job posting, copy paste it into a Word document, remove it, and repost it. It'll look as if you just got a new position. It's kind of a way to cheat the system in a sense, but you'll tend to get a lot more profile views and more people looking at you because it'll look as if you just had a new position. Other people maybe nosy want to know, well, what's Karen doing? What's Graciela doing now? And they'll go ahead and take a look. Even though you really haven't updated your profiles, it's just repurposing that information. It's another fantastic way to cheat and to get people to look at your profile. Anyone have any questions about that information that I've stated so far? Because I do have a lot more that I can go over, but again, I want this to be more conversational, the things that you might have tried or not tried.
I just think you're making very valid points in terms of utilizing, repositioning your resume or the information that you have, that an individual has on themselves, as is to other positions that are out there to apply for. It definitely generates more exposures, more views, and it gets you in front of people who may not have taken the time to look at you had you not made the change. Very valid. Thank you.
Correct. So, I mean, you want to make it easier for recruiters to find you. So again, by doing that, it'll pull up on your radar. If you're on LinkedIn, you'll see the tool constantly, look who changed jobs, look who's done this, or if you updated your profile, again, those updates will populate into your network. So make sure that you go into your settings and you're allowing that information to be public. So just by going and doing it doesn't mean that it'll be public. If you have your settings as default, anytime I update my profile that it won't announce it to my group, well then your group won't know that you're updating your profile.
Right.
I say open yourself to more exposure, because the more people that are viewing your content, the more people are going to view you as an expert. And again, you can showcase your proficiency in the industry. Another fantastic way to get more people to look at you, especially on LinkedIn, is to open up your location. If you go on there, you can go ahead and see that when you want to search for anything, you could set it. It's defaulted anywhere from 25 to 50 miles. If you can go ahead and put West Palm Beach and put an area code, or you could put Greater West Palm Beach. Or if you want, if you know that you might be living closer to a metropolitan area, let's say you're closer to Fort Lauderdale and you know you want jobs, you may want to use Fort Lauderdale as your default, because when recruiters are searching, they're more apt to find you through the location process. So again, you want to make yourself more visible to those recruiters. Another fantastic thing is industry. Whether it's through any of your social media platforms or on LinkedIn, is opening up your industry and making sure that you're finding the appropriate one that you want to be a part of. So for example, myself, I always play between human resources and nonprofit, but for nonprofit, LinkedIn only has nonprofit management. It doesn't have nonprofit organizations. So you kind of have to find what's best for your own industry and utilize that to make sure that you're showcasing yourself appropriately, because recruiters are going to search you by industry, location, job title, and again, utilizing those keywords. If you haven't seen on LinkedIn, there's another tool. For myself, I could see at some of my competition like Boca Raton Regional, it showcases where the most frequent hires are from LinkedIn. So I can see that there's been in the past 60 days 5 people from Bethesda that have been hired by Boca Raton Regional. So taking a look at companies and where they're hiring from, making sure that you have the appropriate acronyms or abbreviations for your business is important. I guess a perfect example, I'll use a sports analogy, it's like the NFL. NFL is the acronym, but you might want to also spell out National Football League in case people are searching you by National Football League versus the NFL. So always taking a look at how your industry, your company is known is important as well, because they may have been identified that Office Max hires a lot of people from Office Depot or from Staples. Well, if they're not using the appropriate acronym, you've been making it that much more difficult, again, for recruiters to be able to find you and make yourself visible. And again, I think networking is important. As I mentioned to you early, blogging, posting, whether if you're afraid to create your own information, curation and sharing. Content curation is so important when you're sharing and, again, engaging other people in your networks. Become part of groups and start commenting. I've seen my visibility increase dramatically by engaging people in groups and commenting, not just liking the postings. Again, this is meant to be social, so you have to start commenting. You'll see your increases of visibility be higher. And with that, with networking, you need to start connecting with more and more people. I know some people like to have an idea, well, I want my group to be finite, so that's the way it's more impactful or powerful. There is a point to that, but with the more or larger network you have, the more visible your profile is. If you have a basic account, or even let's say it's a small mom and pop shop that may have just a basic account, if you're a first connection, they can see your whole profile. If they're a second connection, they're only going to get to see a basic profile of you, not your whole profile. So the more people you connect with, the easier it will be for people to go ahead and find you. So I find that the biggest mistake that people do is they don't connect or don't accept connections from people they don't know. In order to be found, you have to be connected with recruiters. So you have to start engaging and connecting with other recruiters in those platforms. They're also going to be the ones, just like kind of here, that are going to know about maybe some of those opportunities. They may not be hiring, but you may be able to query, hey, I'm looking for a job in Fort Lauderdale. Actually, you want to know, I have a friend that's looking for a position. They have someone leaving. They haven't even posted it yet. Those are the best jobs to find. But again, that's only going to happen if you're connecting with other people and constantly engaging your network. Go ahead. Yes.
Hi. As a recruiter, on a day-to-day, how much time do you spend on social media versus engaging in social media versus researching and talking to people? Could you give me a sense of that?
That's going to be dependent upon the searches that I'm doing. And it's going to vary from day to day. For some of the searches that I am going to be dramatically sourcing, I'm going to be sourcing people on Pinterest. I'm going to be sourcing people on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on utilizing Google. There's other apps and things. I'm looking at people on Periscope and Meerkat and YouTube that have done things with video. With my next job, we have a recruiter associate position, and I really want someone that's big on video that we're looking for that position. So I'm looking for people that might be in the area that are already engaging and doing that and may not know how they can utilize those tools in the human resources capacity. So I would say it varies anywhere from a given day, 10% to literally 60%. It just depends on the job position itself and what I need to do for those searches.
Thank you.
I would say for C-level positions, I'm probably doing about 60% of my time searching for candidates on there, because again, a lot of those applicants are going to be passive, so I'm engaging them through in-mails, through finding other people that might be connected to them that can get me a number. A perfect example would be our infection control manager. The average position was open more than about 180 days to fill nationally. It's just a field that's high in demand. What I did is I actually sourced people here locally on LinkedIn. I found a couple people that were actually in my network. They had their phone numbers on their profile. Again, make yourself accessible. You have to have your phone number visible. If you want people to find you, make yourself accessible. Her email was there, her phone number was there, her office number, her cell phone, how to find her in case she didn't pick up. She had all that information there. She's a consultant in the infection control practice, so again, she wanted to make herself visible, but I was able to connect with her. She was on the board for the Palm Beach chapter in Broward, and so what she did for me, she was, well, if you can't find anyone in 30 days, maybe we can work out a contract. So we started working out on that, but she spoke to both of the heads of those boards and actually did an email blast. The next day I had an applicant, and we hired that applicant less than 30 days later. So again, that was all through sourcing me and reaching out to multiple people within my network and getting that one hit. And again, I make it out like that was my first one. That was probably my 20th phone call that I made with people with infection control disease practice experience that I was looking for.
Right. Nice.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, we have a question from Steve here. Let's put this up on the screen.
I think for most people, you might not need it. For myself, I do pay for it. One, I didn't need to with a recruiter seat, but I already had paid for it before I got the recruiter seat. And it's because it does make you more visible. You have more access to other people, but I guess it really depends on where you are in your job search and how well established your network is. For me, realistically, I don't need it because of my network and knowing how to circumvent and go around some of those tricks. For other people that may not know that, then I say it's well worth the monies. LinkedIn is pretty good, whether it's doing a free trial period. You could try that for about 28 to 30 days, and then after that you could sign up. Obviously, make sure that you decline it if you don't want to sign up, because they will be quick to charge you. But they usually have 90-day options. Yes, they're going to be a little bit more pricey, but again, it also makes you that much more visible. I liken it to a lot of people that refuse to pay for someone to write their resume, but then they wonder why no one's responding to the resume. Well, in order for you to find a job, and again, if you're, whether it's a position that's paying you $50,000 to six figures, you're paying someone anywhere from, let's say, $150 to $500 to write your resume, but you're talking about $50,000 to $100,000 over a year. that cost is something that's minute over the long term that's going to help you find that next job. So for me, it's kind of like tripping over the pennies to get to the dollars. You see the dollars down the road, but you're going to sit here and pick up the pennies. Meanwhile, someone else is going to run past you and go grab the dollars. So don't be afraid to expend some money. I understand some people might not have the opportunity, but then find other networks, other people that might be willing to barter. I barter with plenty of people with resume writing that do other things for me in order for me to write the resume. So I'm more than happy to always barter or to figure out what can I do to help you out. This time of the year is usually a perfect time of the year for resume writing and to try to poach resume writers to negotiate, because it's the slowest time of the year for them due to the holiday season. So if you're looking to have your resume written, I would suggest finding a professional writer and going ahead and start having that conversation with them now. I guarantee you they will come down at least 25% on their pricing, if not 50%, because this is the slowest time of the year for them to write resumes. The busiest time is going to be January. So it's Thanksgiving to New Year's, the slowest time for resume writers.
We got a question here from Tishania. Tishania, a question about, well, it's up there on the screen. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, there's a good point to doing that. I know some people that have, but again, you're going to want to embed it on LinkedIn so people could find it. LinkedIn has, and I hate to reference this, but they've really become the one-stop shop, because you can upload your resume through PDF and have it on SlideShare. So you have your own unique URL. So you can have it directly there on SlideShare, and you could share it from SlideShare from your LinkedIn to anyone you want. So you actually never really have to even save your resume again or worry about it if you have it and the USB port anywhere else. Sign into your LinkedIn through your mobile phone. Go to the LinkedIn tablet where you can go to SlideShare through LinkedIn. You can click on your favorites and go ahead and share it to whoever you want. So LinkedIn has found a way to circumvent all that by automating and having SlideShare be part of their platform now. So I mean, it's a good suggestion, yes, but I think with LinkedIn, you can circumvent a lot of that without having to spend the extra money or maintain that additional URL. Speaking of URLs, LinkedIn allows you to create a unique URL. So for myself, it's Duarte R. Mendonca at LinkedIn.com. So that's my unique URL, and I share that. It's on the top of my resume. So when you look at my resume, it's my name, it's West Palm Beach, Florida, my LinkedIn, my email, my mobile number. I want people to go to my LinkedIn. I want them to see how engaged I am. I want them to see that I'm participating in conversations. And again, that's kind of your living document that breathes you. And they can go ahead from there and see what you are commenting on, how you are sharing your expertise. Everyone, when they're writing a resume, they usually put their accomplishments or their achievements. This is going to show a whole nother light of you. It's going to show a three-dimensional view of you versus just a black and white piece of paper.
Any other questions for Duarte?
Yes. I was right. I was typing it, but I better ask it. Would you please comment on being strategic with LinkedIn and then being more specific